What's up? Chris Mason, we are here. Took us a second to finally get that going, but we are here. People, you already know we were supposed to be on last night, but things happen. Kind of some weather delays, I think, with Jason. Jason was traveling from his state all the way back up here to the great state of Norman, so he got caught in traffic, weather, and all types of things. So try to stay up late to do it with him, but that just did not happen. But Chris Mason and I are here for a good time, not a long time. We're going to preview this matchup between OU and Missouri. Chris Mason, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So, hey, people, look, Horns Down Podcast and Sooners 360. Go like, subscribe, share, do all those different things for both of our channels to keep it growing and keep it going, right? So, yeah, definitely do that right now. With that being said, people, we're going to jump into this preview of this game. Chris Mason, I've talked to you plenty of times and said, hey, stop the run, make them predictable on a lot of their pass plays that they're going to have to connect on to keep drives going. I don't see him being Hardy. I don't see Hardy coming in here and rushing for 300 yards. I don't see the Roberts kid coming in here and setting the world on fire. I do see them getting loose on a couple of runs, but I think that as long as you're sound on that backside where they love to cut to because they love to do a jump cut in that zone scheme that they have. I think you should be all right. What are your thoughts about this matchup?
Well, it's interesting because Missouri has really good stats, right? Statistically, they look really good. But when you dig a little deeper into them as a team, there's some definite flaws here. For starters, this is only their third road game of the year. They've been playing in Columbia, and they got off to a hot start. All credit to them. They got off to a hot start. They caught South Carolina early at home when South Carolina was playing their worst football. Let's just be honest, their least competitive football. But when you look at their the only team they've played in Columbia, they played two teams in Columbia who are competitive football teams. Really, they played Bama and they played A&M, and both of those teams were able. Bama in particular was able to stop their running game, stop their passing game, and effectively beat them. A&M gave up some yards to Roberts on a big play. Zollers couldn't pass the ball, and they lost by 21 at home. So, but their two real road games, Chris, are Auburn and Vandy, and in both of those games, they managed to score 10 points in regulation. And both Auburn and Vandy, defenses I think that are inferior to the Sooner defense, they were able to hold Hardy to under 100 yards, 58 by Auburn. Vanderbilt, he nearly got 100 yards against them, but they didn't really pass the ball other than Zollers threw for like 50 yards on like their final drive to try and stay in the game. Against Auburn, that 23-17 score, that's two touchdowns in overtime. That's a 10-10 regulation score. So I feel like when you look at them, you can look at their first half of the season stats, the Kansas win and the win against South Carolina, and you're like, wow, they're really imposing. And then Bama comes into town and they don't look as good. Then they go on the road and they lose both. They should have lost to Auburn. Really, they beat Auburn like everybody beats Auburn.
They were down to Kansas. If my
And they were
memory
down for
serves me
Kansas for a little
correctly.
bit. Then their running game clicked, and Kansas is not a good defensive team this year. Let's just call it what it is. They're not playing as well as I think some folks expected. And yeah, sure, at home they beat up a Mississippi State team that's not very good on
They're
defense,
gassed now.
and
I
they're and
think
they're
they're a good team, but they're gassed. I think
and
that
defensively definitely they are.
I would just say that there have been some letdowns, letting the Texas game slip out of their hands. They had Missouri in overtime. There's just been some letdowns this year that I think is just honestly that team has just kind of ran out of steam. They are what they are right now, and
Yeah,
they just ran out of some steam. Yeah,
they blew the Texas game, they blew the Ole Miss game, and they blew the I think Tennessee game. Right? They had
yeah.
three close, high-scoring battles. So, Mississippi. Everyone's like, "Oh man, Hardy ran for 300." Yeah, because they force-fed him the football, and Mississippi State's not a very good defensive team.
Well, really, when I watched that game, there are about four or so plays that poke out like a sore thumb to me. First off, there's a handful of defensive plays just because the tackling is bad. This is a guy that you cannot just, you can't go out there and do a Guillory love tap with your shoulder. You have to wrap him up. You have to go for the legs. You have to get the shoestring tackles. You have to do
Right.
all of those different things right there to bring this guy down because he will bounce off of you and then take it 40 yards. He is
Yeah.
reminiscent. His run style, kind of the way he runs, in my opinion, he's kind of reminiscent. Hardy's reminiscent of like Ramondre, to be honest with you. I mean, it's close.
Sure. Sure. He's a little.
Not
He's not as
necessarily,
tall. He's not as big. He's not
yeah,
as
not
big.
necessarily the biggest bruiser, but that he still will take contact and still
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
it home. But when I watched that game, there were a
I
couple of
mean, it's
turnovers.
it's 21. It's 21-17 and a half.
Yeah, there were a couple of turnovers, and then again, just bad tackling. You're out of position or whatnot because they throw a couple of hitch routes that end up, the wide receiver literally just turns. Here goes the DB running right past him, and then he goes 20 extra yards for a touchdown. So I mean, it's just things that cannot happen that keep them in the game. But again, Zollers, when you watch him, he looked like a totally different quarterback between this game and that game, and it wasn't really by much. It was just that he made a couple of good reads on some plays against Mississippi State and was able to do what he needed to do. But Texas A&M, they got after him. If Prbula is going to be the guy tomorrow, which I guess all signs are pointing towards him, it still doesn't necessarily change the game plan. Not necessarily because of his ankle, but as they got deeper into SEC play, the games got tighter.
Yeah, and
Teams
he
were
and he
able,
and he wasn't playing. I mean, he got hurt in that Vandy game, but he wasn't playing well against Vandy. He didn't play well against Bama,
yeah,
and I think he didn't play the did he play the Auburn game? I'm not sure.
yes, he did.
He did, and he didn't play well against Auburn. So I just think there's two Missouris, right? There's the at home against weak defenses Missouri,
Yeah,
and then there's the Missouri that actually plays. There's the on the road Missouri, which is significantly less impressive, and then there's the play good competition Missouri, which is also. I mean, they don't have in my mind, they don't really have a quality win.
that's. I mean, that's the honest truth, and that's not even any shade right there.
No, they don't. I mean, they have an easy schedule. I mean, they play A&M, but they don't play Georgia. They didn't play. They lost to they played Alabama, and that's really it. They have a 1 game schedule. They played Alabama and they play us.
And,
From
and,
that
and
stand,
don't
from that standpoint, I'm like, okay. I mean, they're not playing Ole Miss. They played A&M and Bama, and they lost both games, and they lost them at home.
Now, I would say, people, if Rob is in here, I know he's our resident Missouri fan. Don't get mad at Chris Mason for saying that because coming to the season, Peyton and all those other national guys were saying the same thing. They really like Missouri's schedule simply because it wasn't so loaded as others. Now, I'm not trying to put you in that Texas category, so we'll kind of steer away from that. But regardless, though, Chris Mason, I just really like this matchup for us. It's a We've went against two really prolific passing attacks these past couple of weeks, and we've given up yards, but at the same time, we haven't given up a lot of points, right? I think
And
this
we've
is
and we've and we've and our defense has forced turnovers, forced mistakes.
yeah,
So they've even if they've given up yards, which everyone seems to like obsess about. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, whatever. I didn't know that yards equaled points, but apparently they do to some national pundits.
For for me, it's just all about again being gap sound, all the rest of that, right?
Yep.
But also it is a simple fact of do not come out here because what they want to do they want to shift. I don't necessarily think it's going to just be a wide zone the entire time. I think it's going to just mostly be which it equals out to that, but still I think they're just going to be shifting those lines. I don't think they're not necessarily going to have all the time to run a lot of play action and try to keep the ball there in Pabula or Zoller's hands. I don't think they're going to have enough time for that. I think they're going to have to run a lot of quick games, those screens, different things like that. I was listening to the franchise, and I think they some of those guys on one of the late shows had a great point. He thought this game probably would be really reminiscent of the Michigan game to where they're coming in here trying to run a bunch of screens, bunch of things in the middle of the field for the quarterback to try to get him enough time. Because I just don't think that you can come in here and think that, okay, yes, let's just commit to the run 1000% and we'll be fine. Regardless, though, you have to play gap, be fine on the back half of that defense. Because again, I do think that they're going to sprinkle in some motion to try to get you misaligned like Michigan did, right? We've seen that over the past couple of weeks. That one play has become a part of other offenses. It's become a play in their playbook, right? So they've been trying to get us misaligned to catch us slipping with that. So again, don't want to give up any more 70 plus yard runs or whatnot. But I think that's something big, Chris Mason, to pay attention to is just what little motions do they run? Can we pick up those tight ends that they try to hide on those little crossers, right? Those are really kind of the two things that I'm looking for in this game because I feel as though we're going to come out there hat on hat, man on man. We're gonna get to it, right? We're gonna make sure that run game that they understand it's gonna be tough to run the ball on us. You're gonna have to pass, and I expect BV to be aggressive in that light as far as challenging the quarterback to make plays down the field and make OU adjust.
Yeah, I mean, I think all those points are right on target. Um, Defense. I mean, this is Zolas or Prbula. Nothing Missouri's shown this year indicates that they are against a good defense, a good team. That their passing game
Yeah.
is. I mean, this isn't Trinidad Chambliss. This isn't Aguilar. This isn't Simpson. This isn't the group of wide receivers Ole Miss has, the guys Tennessee has, or the three NFL types that Bama just threw at us,
Uh-huh.
right? Or a first round quarterback like Bama just threw at us. This is a different test, and you're bringing a running game to go after our run defense. It's your strength on our strength. So far this year, we're pretty much one run by Texas and one run by Michigan. That's about it for our run defense.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, realistically, it's the big run by Justice Haynes, and I think Wisner, if I recall right, I'm trying to black out the Texas game personally, but I think there was one run by Wisner where we missed a couple of tackles where he got like a 30-yarder or something. But other than that, our run defense has been nails. Kobe McKenzie should be the healthiest he's been since he got hurt in the Ole Miss game, right? He got that groin injury in Ole Miss, correct? He,
Yes.
he should be back, and he's the guy to keep us in our run fits, and he's one of our better run defenders at linebacker. Also,
Yeah.
this is a Kendall Daniels kind of game too, right? So from that perspective, Kendall Daniels could be on the field a lot. A big cheetah makes sense for what they're doing. what they're going to throw at us. So
Yeah.
they're leaning into our best side. This is their best side. You know, I think if they have to rely on Probola or Zollers to throw the ball to win this game for them, they're going to be in trouble, and this is where turnovers could come. So I'm looking for them to they're gonna have a rock fight offensive game plan, right? They're gonna pound the rock at us, pound it, third and longs. They're gonna be ultra conservative, play field position, try and play field position with us, which is dangerous
Yeah.
because their special teams are not great right now. But that's their only game plan to winning, right? I mean, is don't make mistakes on offense and try and keep the clock and wear down our defense for a fourth quarter game. And it's a strategy that will work if their defense. It's a strategy
Well,
that could work if their defense can keep our offense contained.
let's not jumble those two together. Let's take a second real quick.
All
So
right.
OU Revenge Tour. He says, "Do you guys think the field is going to play any role in the game since it's probably going to be slick?" I don't know, simply because it's just the weather that a lot of people said that they got. We didn't really get that here in Norman. I live in Norman, so I don't. I mean, I know it rained or whatnot overnight, but it wasn't anything that you know was startling or that anybody that
It's
kept
it's
people
gonna
from
be
sleeping.
it's gonna be sunny. It's gonna be clear weather leading up to the game. The bad weather. There's rain coming in Sunday and Monday. It doesn't look like
Yeah.
there's any rain tomorrow.
No. So yeah, I don't think that should be an issue. But yeah, no, going to that side of the ball, just try to split those two topics up. So we talk defensively, what you got to do, stop the run, turn them into a predictable team, turn them into a passing team, make them show you that they can beat you that way, right?
Make them play
Uh,
their offhand. Their offhand.
but as far as OU's offense goes, again, guys, I'm not necessarily looking for Mateer to come out here and set the world on fire. But what I am looking for is a performance like South Carolina, right? Making all the timely throws, making the passes that count as far as just moving the chains, getting us within striking distance to go get a touchdown, whether that's on the ground or in the air. Looking for Arbuckle to commit to the run. If X Rob is healthy, Blaylock is ready to go. Let's go ahead. Let's run the ball. Let's get it going. Let's commit to that. On those short yardage plays, please just run the ball. Let's not sit here and get our guys. Let's get penalties on our offensive line when they don't need to be. Right. Same with Mateer. Again, for Mateer, I think it's just continue to improve that hand, improve the mechanics. I think that's all that we can ask for right now. Step up in the pocket, make those throws. Can we please see Keontez Lewis? Can we see more Jermichael Carter? Can we see those guys be able to help him out on deep digs, be able to get some of those chunk plays to kind of relax that defense off of that line, right? So just one of those things where I think that you're going to have opportunities to run the ball with your quarterback, with your running back. I think that those jet sweeps, kind of those little jet sweeps that turn into the QB blast or whatnot, whatever you have it. Those are plays right there. I think that will work against this defense. Again, this defense to me is somewhere around that Bama defense to where they're really opportunistic. I wouldn't call them they're going to come out there and just choke you to death. They're not a group that's going to come out there and get a lot of, sacks, this and that, but they are a very feisty bunch and they are very workmanlike. So definitely respect the opponent and respect what they do. But I just think that it's about us. Honestly, I think if OU doesn't go out there and beat OU, I think you're fine. But for me, it's just can Mateer make those timely throws? Can he connect? Can he do what he need to do? And can we win the turnover battle there? Chris Mason.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, they're good. Again, their stats are skewed by their schedule, right? Statistically, defensively, you know, they gave up 450 yards to A&M, 200 on the ground and 200 in the air. So they are they. I don't think their secondary is as good as Bama's. They're probably a little better on the edge than Bama, just from what I've seen. But you're right. This is the matchup that really probably decides the game, right? That Missouri, Missouri can't fall behind if OU's offense is clicking and puts up some early points, that's bad for Missouri.
It's really bad.
It's really bad because they don't have a. If they have to start flinging the ball around, we're going to get some interceptions. We're going to hit Prabula or Zellers. When we hit quarterbacks, quarterbacks fumble the ball and we score touchdowns. That's kind of what's going on lately. So they need to clamp down on us. But conversely, if we could get off to a hot start at home, keep the crowd on us a little bit like we did at Michigan, put a well positioned kind of drive from that perspective, then that's where it gets interesting. So I mean, Missouri needs this to be, we can get to our predictions and stuff, but Missouri needs this to be a rock fight. They need a rock fight into the fourth quarter,
Uh-huh.
and the way they do that is they clamp down on us on offense, and they patiently grind against our defense, and that's how they get into the fourth quarter, a fourth quarter rock fight that maybe, and the only problem with that though is that OU's used to those games at this point. So OU has a level of confidence in that, and the
And a
crowd,
kicker.
and then we have a better kicker. Their kicking situation is not good. Their kicker, I think their best kicker is hurt. They have like an injured kicker, but their kicking is not great. I think Oliver Robbins is their kicker.
Hmm.
That sounds right. And let me look at his stats real quick. Yeah, that's the only game he kicked in. So they've gone back and forth a little bit on who their kicker is. So they don't have this. They don't have Sandell. No one really does. So if OU could put some points on the board, some special teams play, is this the day where OU gets a punt block? Maybe.
Yeah.
From that perspective. But yeah, you know the field position game is the thing everybody's ignoring from our Bama game, right? They're like, well, he's down by 200 yards. I'm like, yeah, but we had a 20-yard field position advantage on 6 drives. That's 120 yards. There's no other way to look at it. So, that's another thing that could come into play. I think the crowd will be flying high if OU could have a little offensive success early, or if Missouri makes a mistake like the other teams have been making early, and OU could get up. I think, unlike the teams we played before, unlike Tennessee who jumped on us at home, and unlike Alabama who was able to come back from us, if we could get up 10 or 13 nothing, I'm not sure this game isn't over.
Yeah. I mean that's my thoughts. But again, just trying to be respectable about it, not getting on a high horse because hey, technically we're in the playoffs today, but the playoffs don't start today, right?
Yeah,
But the biggest thing for me is, with our defense, don't let them, don't give them the TOP, right? Don't give them the TOP battle. Get off the field when on third downs.
yeah.
Go ahead and get off the field. Make them go out there and second guess what they need to be doing, right? That's a big thing for me in this game right here. Get off the field. You were able to do that last week a bunch. This week you got to do it as well. Don't give them life. Offensively, you got to convert. You got to have some long drives. You need to finish it off, whether that's a field goal or a touchdown. Touchdowns, please, but field goals especially. But I think this is a game where you could see it. I think for me, the way I look at it is like this. I think a lot of OU fans are right with their concerns, their worries, or their gripes, mostly gripes about the offense, material, whichever one you want to talk about, right? But for me, I still say, is this the day that we come out there and we look like our old selves, right? Meaning to kind of to start the season, because I still think that a game or two like that is coming. I do.
Michigan,
Yeah.
like
It,
effective offense,
uh-huh.
and our defense is obviously playing better, um, than they were,
And
during.
they've been tested way more, and I
Yeah,
think that they're battle tested now. So that's going to be the interesting part. I just think that defensively, you got to get off the field on those third downs. I think that this is a game here where you say yes, Kendall Daniels should have a good game, but he and Marvin Jones Jr. got to be sound.
it's a
Got to be
PJ. It's a
sound. Got to
PJ.
put
It's
the
a
right
PJ
ball.
game. This is
Yeah.
the game where we could be saying, man, PJ on the edge was dominant in the run game.
Yeah, yeah. Got to be disruptive in that middle as well. Let's see. We saw how Mateer played after his injury. Does that ankle hold up with our D line hitting him and wearing him down? I see. That's the thing, people. For me, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. It's not because of our D line or anything that OU has to offer that scares me about this. It's a simple fact that if Drinkowitz is going to be there next year, why would you play your future, right? Why would you take the risk of him getting hurt in any of these last couple of games that you're going to have? It doesn't make sense to me. I know Chris Mason is under the impression that Drinkwitz may not be there next year. Hey, that is what it is. But regardless, though, I
Well,
just don't.
the Missouri insider guy, their insider guys are talking about him leaving. So it's not something I'm just pulling out of my ass. The Missouri,
Ooh,
the Missouri Homer guys, the Missouri guy I would say I respect the most
yeah,
is talking about Drink leaving. So I mean, this is the equivalent of George, George Stoya saying that Brent's out the door. That's who's saying Drink's leaving. So when I say that, I just want to preface it that this isn't like some hush hush, you know, some guy I know who knows the guy who knows the guy who knows the guy is saying that. The Missouri insider Homer guy is saying that.
is he
You
going to Texas?
know,
Nah, that's.
we're gonna leave that alone. So
I don't want to start getting mad at me when I take out my trash because I say a lot of things about
yeah,
Texas.
we're Texas has got its own problems this week. We're gonna leave that alone. So
Yeah,
we'll leave that. They're not on our rate. They lost last week. They're not on our radar any longer. They are. If we take care of business, and this is what will kill Texas fans, they are irrelevant to OU for the rest of the year.
yes,
We win both of our games. If you're all torn up about the way we lost in the Cotton Bowl, that's good. That's fine. But you need to bury it and just walk away from it if we win our next two games and get into the playoffs. Because Texas will be irrelevant and they'll be churning themselves up
Mhm.
watching OU, especially if we host a home game and we win out. They'll be churning themselves up at the sight of 3 weeks of OU coverage while they are churning themselves up about whether Sark's leaving or not, or what Sark needs to make changes and all that. But I think, ignoring all of that, I think you've laid it out exactly sort of how I viewed it. Missouri's very good at one thing. We're elite at one thing. Hardy is an NFL running back. That's fine. The Ole Miss running back is great. What did he do against us? Not a damn thing. And Missouri does not have Trinidad Chambliss and that set of wide receivers and that block and O line as their second punch.
Mhm.
So
This is a game where you got to go out there, hit them in the face early, and carry that momentum in all 4 quarters. We're 8 quarters away, people, from going to a place that I'm gonna be quite frank with you. Not a lot of Sooner fans thought that we could go. We're 8 quarters away, and tomorrow is the
I,
first half. One of the most important 4 quarter. Some of the most important quarters of OU history thus far is going to be played tomorrow, 11 a.m. ABC game. I'm digging these ABC games. Chris Mason, I'm just be honest with you, I am so freaking excited, man, for this game. Mostly just to watch the guys get out there again one more time and just to keep on going, man, because it don't stop. Because next week is going to be even more important. But
and
got
if
to
we
get
take
this.
care of business this week,
Yeah,
next week is going to be. I mean, it just ranch ups, and you guys know Monday nights we do a recruiting Q&A. I do a Wednesday pitch for my podcast. I've uploaded it Wednesday night. If you want to catch up on everything recruiting wise, guys, recruiting is, Stuart Scott. I'll steal the Stuart Scott thing from because ESPN's doing a great documentary on Stuart Scott. Obviously somebody at my age, I used to watch Stuart Scott on Sports Center all the time. I mean, I'll use an old term. OU recruiting is on fuego right now. It is It is on fire. We're on a heater, and it is because of what we're doing on the field. If we nail these two games, we're going to have huge momentum, recruiting, transfer portal, retention, everything. It's all there for the taking, and that doesn't even include OU going on a football heater if they get a home playoff game, for example.
Yeah.
Home playoff game, and the home playoff game puts money in OU's pocket, serious cash in OU's pocket. I saw somebody who's gotten, I think they're already sending out potential playoff game ticket requests.
Yeah.
And what they were charging that for that ticket was, I'm like, oh, holy crap! Okay, what is it, the Rose Bowl?
Yeah.
You know, ticket prices haven't just jumped. So there's lots of facets to this, but the simple one is, as you said, these guys hopefully didn't go on the road and kick ass in Tennessee and Tuscaloosa to come home and lose to Missouri.
Yeah.
I mean, from a mental standpoint, from a culture standpoint, we all saw the Twitter video that OU put out, the unhitched video in Bama where Brent's, yelling road dogs. They're all yelling road dogs about him. Well, they need to yell home dogs this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Need to be home dogs. Need to have that can of whoop ass again in the locker room for Brent to open. So that's my rah part of this part of the analysis.
I'm just excited that this game is going to be played at 11 a.m. Go ahead and get this out of the way. Obviously, we want night games around here, SEC. Greg Sankey, make it happen next year, baby. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Got to stop playing with us on that, man.
All right, you want to go through our prediction stuff real quick?
Yeah, hit it off real quick.
All right, so let's just talk about our in-game predictions. Sorry, guys, we don't have the nice graphics. Our graphic support team it's just Jason. So he's not here, so I'm just going to have to read you what we've got going on. So leading rusher for the game, you're going with Blaylock because you think X-Rob's a little banged up?
A little bit banged up. I think, I think that he may get a little bit more opportunities, but if X-Rob is healthy, then I'm fine with being wrong.
Okay. I'm going with Mateer for sort of the same reason. I think this is a game where we could have a couple of big Mateer runs that set stuff up, catch Missouri a little bit uncoordinated on defense, and John sees a big running lane, goes and gets a couple of big runnings. We may have like a three-headed running game that gets us like the 150, 175 kind of number we need.
Yeah.
A little bit of Blaylock, a little bit of X-Rob, a little bit of Mateer. We both have Satania as our leading receiver because at this point, why the hell not, right? I mean, what other option do we have? We're both saying Mateer doesn't pass for over 300 yards. And we both think that OU is probably going to share the wealth rushing and receiving. We don't have a 100-yard rusher or a 100-yard receiver. We don't think OU breaks through and gets. We don't have a special teams touchdown, right?
No, we don't.
All right, we both don't see that trend breaking. We don't see OU scoring a defensive touchdown this week. I think we both think Missouri is going to do everything possible to be conservative, get the ball out quickly when they have to pass, and they're not going to throw into coverage, right? They're going to that Perbula or Zellers is going to be told, don't put the ball into coverage.
Yeah.
If the guy's not open, throw it away. Don't take, if get rid of the ball quickly. Don't eat sacks where you could fumble. They're going to just do everything to not give the OU defense the impact plays that they've been creating the last 2 weeks. Does OU hold? Do we get an offensive play over 50 yards? We both say yes. We're going to count that as a defensive play, a defensive return for over 50 yards, kickoff or punt return over 50 yards, or an offensive play over 50 yards. We're going to give us a big umbrella around that. We're going to say yes. OU pulls off one big time play. Does OU hold Missouri under 300 yards? We're both yes. The trend line, the stats, everything says that's coming. Defensive MVP, we both chose Kip Lewis.
It was hard not to choose Kip Lewis. And then Kip Lewis, and
he's on a heater, absolute heater.
I'll be honest with you. I thought Jason be doing this with us, but I picked Kip instead of going with what my natural choice would have been, because I was just going to put linebacking room, because I think Heineke, I think Omi Asigo, I think a lot of those guys are going to make some big time plays, meeting not only maybe getting a couple sacks, but I think also uh, uh, helping out in the run game as far as providing run support. RSJ this is an RSJ type game right here too. So can't get caught looking in the backfield, but at the same time, I think that you should be fine. Just cannot be misaligned. Keep going.
Yep. Offensive MVP, we've both got John Mateer.
Yeah.
I think we both feel like if John can give us 200 yards passing and we have some running complementary, that's going to give us enough offense to win this game.
Mm.
And then you have OU winning 24-10.
Yeah.
Which is a score that makes a lot of sense based upon OU's home history this year and what we've seen from Missouri on the road.
Yeah.
Regardless of who their quarterback is, they are not being very effective on the road on offense.
Yeah.
And going against the best defense they play, that trend line kind of continues. I'm in the rock fight. Missouri hunkers down, just grinds and grinds and grinds, and then I think they come up short in the fourth quarter. It's 17-10 OU. Missouri grinds a drive, turns the ball over on downs, and OU basically has a 5-minute drive and just is in victory formation in a tight fourth quarter, but a fourth quarter where Missouri's never in the red zone to tie it, and OU is able to then take that drive. They get to they get to where Bama got. OU gets a couple of first downs and ices the game from a clock perspective. So I have 17-10 OU. We're going to jump to. We'll skip the overall records of our predictions until Jason can rejoin us. But suffice it to say, well, I can't do that because Chris had a 5-0 week last week.
Oh, snap. Where am I at on the...
You are now, you're ahead of Jason.
That's all I need to know. Hey, real quick.
You're trailing me, of course, but
Well, I picked the games outright. Anyways, look at some comments real quick. Boomer, this is Odd's breakout game. Okay, okay.
Let's just say this team 131. If you are right, there's literally no way I can foresee OU losing.
Yeah. Let's see. Mid-poo 10, OU 27. I can see that. That's right around where I have it. Guys, look, we've given you our thoughts about that. We're going to hit one last subject. We're going to make this one short, but I think this is the conversation that we need to have. This is the topic of the hour. Where the hell is Lane Kiffin going? Does anybody in the chat know what's going on?
We'll do our picks real quick.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Hold on real quick. Richard Young, he has OU 26-13. Boomer 129, he has OU 24-17.
All right, that's possible. Those are the games. Those are the games we're playing. All right, so the picks this week, our bookie picks. We don't have our bookie highlight because again, our graphics team is MIA. So Missouri, Oklahoma. When I did this, the spread was 7.5. I think Missouri covers, but they are losing this football game. Chris, you have OU covering, obviously, with a 24-10 win. USC, Oregon. I have USC covering, but losing. You have Oregon winning outright. Tennessee, Florida. Tennessee minus 4.5. We're both having the Vols beating the Gators in the swamp with no coach. BYU Cincinnati, which was the most impactful playoff game. I have BYU minus 2.5. I have BYU winning. You have Cincinnati winning. And then Pitt, Georgia Tech. And again, it's on here because it's a playoff game. If Georgia Tech wins this, they're in the ACC championship. That's just the way it goes. Because their last game is Georgia, which doesn't have an impact. That's Georgia Tech minus 2.5. Georgia Tech's at home, and we both have the Jackets winning out. So that's our predictions. We're basically agreeing on 3 of the games. I'm taking folks to cover, but not win on the other 2 games. So if we were calling, we weren't factoring in the spread and just calling it straight up. Chris and I agree on the 5 games this week. So that's the my bookie pick. The
Wait
my
a
bookie
minute. Did I
picks.
pick BYU or did I pick Cincy?
No, I'm sorry. You picked Cincy. That's the only game we really disagree on. Is you picked Cincy to cover, I've got the John Smiths winning at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's on kind of a losing streak. So, and BYU is a more I think fundamentally sound football team. Will run on Cincinnati. So, but yeah, that's the correction. We agree on 4 games, disagree on 1 game. So
All right, let's get to it. Lane Kiffin, where is he going, Chris Mason?
he's going to LSU.
You got LSU. I still got Florida. I'll be honest with you. I don't think after the day's fiasco. I don't see him going back to Ole Miss. I don't see him coaching in the
Oh
playoffs.
no, the Ole Miss thing is dead and buried. And in fact, if they drop the Egg Bowl, I could see them precipitously falling in the playoffs without their coach. I could see the committee taking a hard line on that. But my sources and the scuttlebutt that my sources are relaying to me from other places indicate that Lane is going to take the LSU job, which I think is a mistake, but whatever. It's interesting if the Drink stuff is interesting, right? Because if Drink leaves and Kiffin leaves, the 2 teams we have as permanent opponents for the next 4 years are going to be rebuilding under new coaches.
Yeah.
And Missouri kind of got lucky with Drink, to be honest, and Drink didn't have a great start. So, those 2 teams could be very vulnerable in the portal, in high school recruiting, until they get their new coach. Because if they lose those guys, they'll be in the hiring. They'll be behind in trying to come up with a guy. And I think both places could struggle to. They could obviously. There's lots of good coaches out there. Maybe they could convince Dillingham to leave Arizona State.
Summerall.
I mean, so I think Summerall's going to Auburn unless he's a backup choice at Florida, because I don't see LSU hiring a Tulane coach. I think that's kind of a status thing there. It's like OU would never hire OSU's coach in football, no matter the circumstances. That just wouldn't fly. So Drink to Ole Miss. That sounds possible.
What about Arkansas?
Well, the rumor going around is that the Pigs talked to Dabo this week.
Yeah, I saw that, it was just like, this is so out of left field that
it is. But Dabo is it's clear Dabo is getting a sense that a divorce with Clemson might be the best thing for him and for maybe for Clemson, although they could certainly take a dive if they make a bad hire. So I thought it was going to be. I thought they were on the same goalish Eric Morris, express that OSU is currently roundabout that OSU is currently on. I thought that's kind of where they were going, but haven't heard that lately. Still don't know who Penn State's getting. And
what about Auburn?
Auburn's gone. Auburn's getting Summerall. It's just a matter of when can they get him.
Interesting.
That's what I've heard. I mean, they're not in the Kiffin sweepstakes, and Summerall is sort of their. They think they're not that far away if they have a better coach. Now, the issue is Summerall is a defensive guy, and I think he probably would say he doesn't want DJ Durkin. Because I think he would bring in his own guys from his prior experience. But yeah, it seems to be it's Kiffin to Florida or LSU, and depending upon last week I heard it was all Florida. Last couple of days it's bubbling up that it's LSU. So I think that means if he goes to there, I think Drink goes to Florida. Because I don't see Florida hiring another Sun Belt Conference or American Association Conference coach, right? That's not what
they want to splash.
They want a SEC established or big time coach. But I gotta waste our viewers' times, our listeners' times with just one comment, Chris. Man, I am dying to see Franklin coach against Cristobal next year.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
it's the ultimate coaching escape room puzzle. I mean, how who it's the irresistible screw up game against the unstoppable screw up game coach. I mean, we'll get back to that later, but I just had to get that in. I really that thank you Virginia Tech for giving me that for giving me 4 hours of enjoyment of watching those two guys stumble over each other trying to lose big time football game against each other. Because we know Franklin's going to recruit like a madman, and Vatek's talent base is going to go through the roof. That's a great hire by Vatek.
I just don't know. I'm sorry. I'm listening to you talk about that. I'm just trying to figure out what Arkansas is going to do.
Well, if OSU gets Golish, that takes one of the obvious names off the board, right? Eric Morris at UNT would be a great hire for them, especially if he can bring that quarterback and running back he has
Yeah,
with him, and that can reload. Because Taylor Green's gone, right? He's a senior,
yeah.
so that would be a quick reload there. That might work, but if it's not those two guys, I'm stumped. I haven't heard Colin Klein there. That's not been going anywhere. I think folks are afraid Klein's not going to leave A&M during a playoff run, so I think that's hurting him a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're OSU, you need to get that Golish or Morris deal done like yesterday, right? I mean, I guess USF is. I guess the Morris is still technically in the playoffs, which might hurt him. If UNT runs the table, they could technically be the 12th seed. So I don't think USF has any possibility of doing that any longer. I guess Tulane has some potential. So that's also making things a little difficult, right? There's a bunch of Group of Five coaches who could be in the playoffs. So, but yeah, I think it's Kiffin to LSU, Drink to Florida.
Hmm.
No idea who Missouri or Ole Miss will hire.
Look who's on screen.
Which Gundy?
You know what Gundy they're talking about. Come on, man.
Why would you? I mean, he's so. I mean, he's done. He's just baked. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, Arkansas could hire Dabo, but if Dabo's not going to change his ways, how are you improving Arkansas, right?
I think that he would be able to embrace it simply because out of all the teams that you've heard, okay, to scramble around and get this money or whatnot, Arkansas got it right there. Okay, they got Walmart, Tyson's, they got all of that right there. I think they're just waiting on the right coach. They're waiting on the right
Well,
guy. You got
maybe
Jerry Jones too, who will put money into it. Come
yeah,
on,
and if you get Dabo and Dabo walks away, the question who Clemson hired. I mean, the dominoes right out there are very interesting. Um, the dominoes out there are. I mean, because the one guy who was free to be hired, who really, had a good resume was Franklin, and Vatek struck that deal and made that. That was really smart because he recruits their natural recruiting areas. That's a really smart thing. He's poached, and unlike Brent's, well, I'm not going to touch any Clemson guys. Franklin is poaching Penn State people left and right. He's
oh
like,
yeah,
you fired me, okay? Well, I'm going to take your entire recruiting class. So I'm going to take
recruiting
him as
class and current players. I'm sure a lot
oh
of them are going to.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Poor. So he's going to raid Penn State badly. So he's got like a 3 week head start over whoever Penn State's hiring because Penn State fired Franklin has done nothing.
yeah. That boy going through the Rolodex right now of all the agents saying like, hey, let's go ahead, let's get this
Yeah,
going.
he's going through all these players, handlers info, and just I'm sure he kept all that. So it's OU needs to win out and just sit back and watch this carnage and chaos, right?
Yes.
I mean, because because Missouri and and Ole Miss are going to take head coaches from somewhere, right?
Ole Miss, everybody keeps saying Ole Miss gonna go get Levy. That's all that's gonna happen.
I don't think their alums would exactly sign off on that.
I mean, at this stage, I mean, who are you gonna get? I
Well,
think a lot.
they could go grab someone like Jed Fish from Washington.
But okay, so you say that, but it seems like if Okay, let's put it like this right here. The word on the street is that his family moved from Seattle back to Arizona because they don't like Seattle. They didn't like that. So what makes you think that they would want to leave Arizona again and go out there to Mississippi?
I can't answer that question.
I just say that was a word that was out there.
That's a
Is
hell of a
that wrong?
that's
If
a
that's wrong,
that's
then
a hell of a counter. I don't have a counterpoint to that.
I'm just saying. I'm like, I've heard Mississippi is a really good looking state, but still, I mean
This
that's
is
kind of what's going on right now. At least from what that was put out. There was a report that was put out, and I was just like, oh, this is interesting.
yeah. I mean, you've got I mean, Will Stein from Oregon. I
Yeah,
think is going to get one of these jobs, and that's going to leave Oregon without their OC in the playoffs. Colin Klein could get one of these jobs, and again, they could be without their OC. Summerall's going to is probably going to let DJ Durkin go, depending upon, and if you're Auburn, how long can you wait for him? I mean, because that's past the first signing day, which is like a week from 2 weeks from Wednesday. So
woo. This
we're
just dropped. This just dropped real quick. So LSU is on three is reporting LSU is finalizing an offer of roughly $90 million for Lane Kiffin, and it would include a roster cash worth 25 million dollars annually.
I don't know how they're doing that when the limits are what they are, but yeah, I mean LSU's. What poor children's hospital is funding that, Chris?
Yeah, hey, look, people. Excuse me. I'm sorry, people. Look, we've been on here for 51 minutes. We're here for. I told you we were here for a good time, not a long time. We're
Yeah,
gonna call it there because we could keep going on and on and on with this whole coaching search. But excuse me, dang people.
we're just very grateful.
Yeah,
We're not. We don't have. We're not. We haven't. We're not going to. We hopefully are not going to be doing a Brent Venables Let Go special podcast edition after the LSU game.
exactly. So with that being said, people, look. Tomorrow, startup. We got 8 quarters left to before we can say we're in the playoffs. Got to go do it. Got to go get it. We've given you the blueprint. Go watch the breakdown. Go watch some film. Go watch everything that you need. 11 a.m. tomorrow. Whether or not you're there or you're watching on TV, be loud and be proud, and let's go get it. Get another win. We will be on tomorrow with Jason sometime after the game. So definitely be on the lookout for us. Outside of that, people, we are out of